What's up, everybody? This is your boy James. This is an exciting evening for us tonight. You see, I've been hustling, so I've really been hustling, and I've been getting these episodes done. I just did an episode yesterday, and the intention was to just do one episode per week, but it's booming. It's really booming, and I'm starting to do sometimes three, sometimes four, sometimes five episodes a week. So I want to introduce you to our guest for tonight. A beautiful lady, as you see. She has definitely been out here hustling, and I feel like we are both on the same wavelength, which is why I'm really excited about the opportunity to interview her for the podcast. Of course, the podcast is really based upon people who I admire, people that I feel have been inspirational to me, and me even just getting to know her now and who she is so many ways that I'm inspired. Um, I think that, again, we are both on the same wavelength. So just to kind of give you an idea without going into full detail, because then that'll mess up my questioning. But she has done some really amazing things within this pandemic. And there's some other ways that we relate, which we'll talk about that's kind of related to the pandemic as well. But she is a humanitarian. She's an entrepreneur. She is just, to me, she's an all-around businesswoman. And I want to formally introduce Summer Azul. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
Listen at this education. Um, I am so happy to have you on the podcast. Like, I'm so inspired by you and just the things that you're doing. And like, this pandemic is something serious. And I mean, obviously, there's so many people, a lot of people, obviously take it seriously,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people who don't take it seriously. And it's just, it's really, I realized that you are compromised. I'm compromised too. I have lupus. So, and I've had the virus, and I did really bad with it. So I'm like really like serious about this. And ironically, I drive Uber, so it's like I have people in my car all day long. But I'm doing my best, obviously, to stay sanitized, make sure
Yeah.
that I keep it clean and wiped down. I mean, I keep masks on top of like I
Yeah.
go to the grocery store and they sell them now in the box for like $3, like 50 masks or whatever. And it's like every time I go to the grocery store, I buy 3 boxes of them
Good.
just to make sure I have them in the car for when people get in, because 65% of the people get in and they don't have a mask. Like, they have no clue the pandemic has been going on.
Yeah.
So,
They don't take it serious, but even some of them that do don't understand what it's like for people like you and I who are, as you say, compromised because having an autoimmune disorder or something to where if you catch COVID, it can be worse for you, if not deadly, but worse
right.
as far as recovery because of everything that your body already deals with. So a lot of people, they don't understand that. And that's why I go so hard to make sure that people know why I go so hard. You
Right.
get what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it is serious. I literally just left the hair salon, but when
listen,
I was there,
listen, they did it. They did it. So,
but when I was there, my stylist told me that her sister, who's also a stylist in the salon, passed away a few days ago from COVID, and she had traveled to her native country, which is Dominican Republic, and she caught two strands of COVID. So not just COVID-19, but the Omarion, as they call it, as well.
right.
This is the first time that I heard of someone catching two strands at once.
I've
So
never heard of that either.
yeah, that was news to me. And she died within 5 days.
Wow.
5 days, totally healthy woman, mid 30s. Like I said, I see this woman for years because she works in the same salon. You know, it's her sister. My stylist is her sister, and her and her daughter went on vacation, and her daughter, who's in her, I want to say she's like 1920 or something like that. She's still there because she still has COVID, but she's dealing with it, and they won't let her back into our country until she has a negative result. And I said all that to say it's still very much real and out there.
Yeah.
Very much. And a lot of people feel like, oh, this new variant is just, just get the sniffles and, whatever,
Hmm.
it's nothing. And, oh, I had it and it was nothing. But but it's something to some people. And then
Right.
also, we still don't know the long-term effects of having
Right.
it. So it's very important, for me to stay as safe as possible. A couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you saw the post I posted that I got sick, and I was praying that it wasn't COVID.
Yeah.
Everybody started commenting, "Oh, COVID, and sorry you got COVID." And I was like, in my post, I said, "I don't have COVID, but I'm sick."
Right. Right.
But everybody's so oh, it's everything is sick as
Yeah.
COVID. So it's a lot of, just misunderstandings as far as what we're dealing with. And, that's to be expected because this is the first time in our lifetime that we're dealing
Right.
with really knows or understands.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we have to be extra careful. That's
Right.
all I can say is
I
just be
agree.
careful. Yeah.
So, obviously not to make the whole conversation about COVID, but obviously it plays a major part because of the things that you have been able to do over the last couple years. I love the way that, I mean, essentially you have built a full brand. You've built a full brand and you've done it on your own terms, and that essentially is what I've done. Like in terms of media, I started, or my company started just as a magazine. And, within that time, I've been able to branch out with a PR firm and a podcasting division, and I do radio now. And I mean, I had worked in radio some years ago, but I was more behind the scenes in promotions and marketing. So it's different now actually being on air and doing podcasting and in a position where I'm constantly talking to people. Even when at one point I didn't want to talk at all, or I
Yeah.
kind of had the stage fright and was scared to talk to people, and now it's all day long.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but it's exciting though to be able to see the things that you've done, and the way that you've been able to show your daughter, how to really come through this, and because obviously she was in the acting realm and in the entertainment realm before the pandemic started, and then you've done obviously so many different things from modeling, being a musician, being a filmmaker. So like, how did you get to the point where you felt like okay, I need to start something or I need to do something?
Immediately. So I'm the type of person, I research and I just look into things, period. And so when I first heard on the news that there was something happening in China, there was some type of virus or something going on there, I immediately started to research because I remember a few years ago, well, not a few years ago, long time ago, when they had the SARS. Do you remember it?
Right.
Okay, so I remember that, but it didn't affect us here, really in America. We weren't really concerned about it. We were just like, oh, they're wearing masks over there and they have something called SARS or whatever the case is. And because I remember that when I heard that there was something new going on, I said, let me look into it because I live in Atlanta where there's an international airport, and over 98% of the things that we buy as consumers come from China. And so I
Mhm.
was just like, hold on, let me see
Right.
what this deadly virus is. And I knew then that it was going to spread around the world because the way we travel now, it's almost inevitable because the last pandemic was over 100 years ago, and it spread like crazy because it was during wartime and you had all the military members on the trains and traveling
Mhm.
countries and different places and clustered together. And that's why that spread the way that it did. But we're like 10, 20 times more, fast forward than they were as far as traveling. Now you got regular people, mothers didn't used to travel back then. They stayed at home and cooked the
Right.
food. You know what I mean? Things like that. So you have so many more people traveling and things like that. It just made me spring into action right then. So I took my daughter out of school. I started homeschooling her. The teacher was just like, what's going on? I said, you'll see. Within about 2 or 3 weeks, it was on the news here in America. And then everyone was taking their children out of school. And then it became mandatory. The schools were shut down. But
Like, just to stop you for a second, you took your daughter out of school and started homeschooling. What what was, I don't want to say what was that like, but what was that like to just suddenly now you're homeschooling?
well, for me, I naturally make adjustments in life, period. So it wasn't a thing like, oh, now I have to homeschool. I had already planned on homeschooling her the next,
Okay.
because she's in the entertainment industry and she's always
Right.
stays booked and busy, that little.
Right. And that's a beautiful thing. So,
Yeah. So I was already planning on it, and I had a friend who homeschooled her child. So it was not a big, oh, how am I going to do this thing? But at the same time, even if so, it was a life or death thing to me. And I
right.
know I'm going to take her out of school, do whatever I got to do, and,
Yeah.
survive. You know what I mean?
Right.
I kicked into survival mode. And when I did that, I explained to her teacher, and she texted me about a week or so later and said, "Oh my God, they sent an email and said something about the virus you were talking about." And, it just started to escalate from there. And so the next frame of mind I had was, okay, a lot of people are going to get sick. And so that means I didn't think they were going to shut down everything, but I knew a lot of people would be sick and unable to work,
Right.
even farmers, even people who worked in food processing factories, all these things. So I started posting saying, "Hey guys, we need to start learning how to grow our own food. There's going to be food shortages." And everybody was like, well, not everybody. Some people were like,
Right.
and
Yeah.
other people like yourself, like, wait, let's hear what she's
Right.
talking. You know what I mean? And so because I saw the difference in the people, I said, you know what? I got to reach those people who are not going to listen. So I started doing my videos, and I made them like music videos, and I used hip hop music so that they would watch.
Right.
And I was gardening, and I was cooking at home, and I was homeschooling, and I was doing art therapy, just whatever, because at this point in time, now everyone's quarantined. Everyone's depressed. They don't want to be at home alone and all this stuff. So I'm like, hey guys, look at me. I'm quarantined, but I'm happy. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you don't
Right.
have feel a certain way.
Right.
Let's get this cracking. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that's what I did. It went from, survival mode, take care of the kids, survival mode, take care of the world.
I mean, but that's beautiful that I mean, I think that speaks volumes that you even had the insight to kind of flip into survival mode and okay, I'm gonna pull her out of school. We're gonna start homeschooling. We're gonna start growing our own food and showing people how to like that's. I think that's amazing that you even had that kind of foresight, to pull that off. And I say pull it off because that's a huge transition. Like even if you're in that space or that head space where you're like, I can adjust to whatever and I adjust to the times and, whatever's going on, I can, switch my life up for that. There's so many people like, to me, 95% of the world cannot do that. And so many people don't do good with change.
Yeah.
So, I guess what was your real strategy in terms of reaching the people who maybe they didn't believe or they thought you were crazy or
Well, I cater to both. I cater to the people who definitely believed and wanted to learn more, and I
yeah.
cater to the people who didn't believe at all and could care less. And so what I did, number one, I started going live more, and I would go live and talk about everything that I've learned. So say for instance, for this week I researched the last pandemic, the Spanish flu, and I learned all about that and how they got over it. And I watched documentaries of people who survived it and what they did. So I started teaching people that, the ones who wanted to learn. The ones who didn't want to learn, if you see me on live and I'm talking about that, you're just going to scroll.
Right.
So for those people, I said, like I said, I want to make these entertaining videos. I'm already an entertainer. So I went to school for filmmaking. I'm a filmmaker. So I said, I can make some nice videos that they will watch, less than 3 minutes, throw on some hip hop music.
Mm-hmm.
And then I chose old school hip hop because everybody likes old school, but now I can tap into my age and older and my age and younger. And so that's what I chose. I knew my demographic, and I started doing the videos, and I didn't just do like, oh, this goes here and this goes there. I'm like, no, yeah, I'm gonna do it like this and do it like
Right.
that. I
Right.
wanted to watch the whole video. I wanted you to say, maybe I can plant some food, or maybe
Yeah.
I can build, or maybe I could, whatever it is.
Right.
And it worked. And that was my strategy. And so every time I did a video or I'm editing, I had that in mind. Okay, let me make sure I keep their attention. Let me make sure that I'm showing them something. Let me make sure this is valuable information. Let me make sure that I don't lose, the female audience, or I don't lose the male audience, or whatever the case is. And it was never about getting popular or anything like that. It was more so about making sure the people who were already following me was learning what I felt like they needed to know during that time.
Right.
And they started sharing and I went viral and all that good stuff. But that, it was just part of, I guess, God's plan, because
Yeah.
like I said, it was just all about really trying to teach people what they needed to know.
Now, what do you feel like your daughter was able to take away from it?
Oh, everything. She was, she learned everything as I was learning, you know what I
Right.
mean? And we got quality time together. Well, we always have quality time, but this was more intimate. And I always tried to make sure that she had a fun day because she was quarantined at 5. You know what I mean? She's 7. Well, she's going to be 7 now, but a 5-year-old. So I built her this big playhouse and turned her playground into like this fairy tale world. I just wanted her to not grow up and say, I lived through the pandemic and I was so depressed as a kid. Or, I lived through the pandemic and, it changed me. Now I don't like to be around people or something. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, because psychologically, the pandemic messed with a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it messed with a lot of people ways. I mean, you have people who just absolutely couldn't deal with it at all, and
Hmm.
people chose suicide and just all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's good the way that you obviously again you kind of took the bull, the bull by the horns and said, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna make this fun, and make it so we're having a good time, and we can teach somebody else and help them have a good time too, and to be able to get through this. How do you feel like things will go? I guess as the pandemic, I guess I want to say gets better. I mean, obviously there's different strands all the time, so there's so much going on, and they keep quarantining, and then they're not quarantining. But
Yeah.
as we kind of tend to start getting better and getting over it a little bit more, how do you see the brand kind of transitioning at that point?
Um, as far as my brand,
Hmm.
okay. Well, I feel like I don't know that the pandemic is getting better.
Yeah,
um,
I mean, I don't. I honestly don't feel like it necessarily is right now. Like it's, especially in the winter months, anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
because it's always going to be someone somewhere with the virus, and it's going to keep mutating because that's what viruses do.
right.
And because, like I said, the way that we travel, I'm traveling to Africa next week. The way that we travel is always going to be a chance of someone getting something or transmitting
Yeah.
something. So I think it's going to take it probably 3 times the amount of time that it took the last pandemic to end, which was 3 to 5 years. Um, and with that being said, I feel like we've come to a new normal. And that new normal is, wearing the mask and, having hand sanitizer always on deck and, having smaller gatherings as opposed to big old 500 people weddings and
Right.
things like that. And those are things that people didn't want to do, but you're starting to see that is necessary and, and mandated in many places. I feel like that coincides with my brand because I have to make sure that people understand,
Yeah.
hey, you know what I mean? I know y'all not quarantined no more, but I am.
Right.
Yeah, I step out and I do things and I travel now and whatever. Safe though.
Right.
That's my quarantine life. That's my
Right.
super life. You know what I mean? So
I
I
love
don't
that.
in the house, but I have to do it the right way. It's still a
I
quarantine
love that.
life. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think it affects the brand at all. And even if things miraculously got better all of a sudden, then the brand is, hey, I survived.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Like how do you I know obviously with your line of work and with everything it is that you're doing, like I know you've been traveling. Like how do you kind of manage to stay safe obviously within that travel? Like you speak of the the beautician that went
Yeah.
to the Dominican, unfortunately got sick while she was there. Like how
Yeah.
do you keep yourself safe and keep your daughter safe while you're traveling?
Okay. So this trip to Africa is going to be my first international trip since being quarantined.
Okay.
So I guess I have to get back with you on that one. But it's going to be the same as what I do everyday life. Um, I am not ashamed to put on a mask and a plastic shield and gloves on my hand to go to the grocery store if I have to. You know what I mean? So I don't mind someone looking at me sideways as long as I'm alive tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, that's what I do. And and at times where it's not like that, I still, like I said, I keep hand sanitizer in convenient ways. It's clipped on the side of my purse. I don't have to dig all in there. Just, I do that before I touch my car door and get in the car. Like, I'm just very conscious
Yeah.
about what I'm doing and how I do it, and also with my daughter, it's become a part of her life. You come in, you wash your hands right away. You count. I tell her to count to 40 because she counts fast. I said count to 40 when she washes her hands, and just different things. So all those things, I plan to put in probably super mode to go to Africa. The most traveling I've done since the pandemic was last year. I took my son and my daughter to Florida, but it was a road trip. We stayed in a hotel where before I let them come in the room, I go in and sanitize everything and spray everything, including the phone, the light switches. And I mean, it might be extra to other people, but it's worth it
But
to me.
it's worth it and it's necessary
Yeah.
because you don't know, especially going to these hotels, you don't know how they're cleaning or if they're cleaning.
If they're cleaning,
There's always been, stories about that even pre-pandemic. So, with what's going on now, like you can never be too careful. So I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I imagine, I think that you've done enough research and you've done enough study and, you've been doing enough at this point where I think you'll be just fine, obviously traveling to Africa, but, I'll definitely be watching for sure because I just kind of want to see, like, are you planning on, obviously doing like videos and that sort of thing while you're traveling or?
Yeah, as much as possible, because that's what I do. But this trip is more so of a spiritual thing, and so there's going to be a lot of things that I can't record,
Right.
but as I can, of course, I will because this is part of my journey and part of my destiny, and so it has to be documented. I may wait till I'm back to America before posting anything that happened while I was in Africa.
Right.
It's just, it's not a vacation. It's more so, like I said, it's a spiritual trip, and I'm going to learn. And I plan on utilizing everything that I learned there here once I come back. That's the reason why I'm going.
Okay. Now, the off-grid village. Listen, I love this. I love that whole idea. And like I went on the website and I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, damn, like I want to go. Um, First of all, tell everybody what the off-grid village is.
Okay, so I've been buying land, um, and so people can buy their land and build their own homes to live there in communities. And the Off-Grid Village is the brand that I created because I'm not just doing it in one location, I'm doing it for several different locations. And then also I'm teaching people how to build and how to grow their own food, how to use the land and the water to survive, basically. And it is it's an effort that I'm doing with my Azul Army nonprofit organization that I started a few years ago, but it just kind of took off in ways unimaginable
Right.
this past year, and is just definitely part of my destiny, and it's my passion because I'm not only teaching people everything that I was trying to teach in those videos, but now I'm able to implement that into people's lives. And very much so to the point that now I have villages that are public villages that are still all grid, but people can like rent Airbnb or whatever, come and live there and see how it is, and you know what I mean, have the experience and things like that. And so I really just feel like I'm giving awareness to people about a different way of life.
It I was gonna say it looks exciting. Maybe that's just to me
No.
that it looks exciting because half the time I think I just have in my mind like, damn, like I need to get away and go
Yeah.
somewhere and just I guess in a sense kind of just be like off the grid. Like where
Yeah.
they can't find me, turn my phone off. Like
Yeah.
I just want to go somewhere and just get away or whatever.
Yeah.
So when I looked at those pictures, I'm like, damn, like this is perfect. Um I guess I want to say what really gave you that idea to want to put that together, or like where did the idea come from?
Well, I've been had the idea for years, but it was just a thought, you know what I mean? Not a thing that I'm work towards this right now.
Right,
And the pandemic hit, all my friends, like I said, who were the listeners, who were on the same page, we all said, we need to basically do what I did in my backyard on a bigger piece of land, because
right,
backyard is like a tiny town. I have my daughter's tiny house and the greenhouses and all the gardens and chickens and just everything back there. And so I said, okay, let's do it. But none of us had money to buy land and
Right.
go build. And even if we bought land, we would need more money to build, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was still just a dream. I spoke to several people, and we all we're like saving up and doing whatever it is we got to do to make this happen one day. It was still just a one day type of thought. And
Right.
last year, a friend of mine that I've known for some years, we don't really talk, but someone that I knew, she hit me up and said that she was doing the same thing, and she had been trying to do it for over a year, and she was trying to get people to buy into the land and do all these other things. And I said, what? That's exactly what I've been trying to work on. And she's just like, well, I've already got some land, and maybe you can come in and you can bring some buyers. And I said, okay. And so we started a collab. We had two different visions though of what should be happening there. Like I said, I have a nonprofit. So my goal wasn't to make money off of this. My goal was to make life off of this, and to,
Right.
to people and all these things. And I said, it's off grid, people shouldn't have Airbnbs there where other people can come in. And, if I buy some land and I want to live off grid, I don't want people knowing where I am. I'm
Right.
off grid.
Right. Exactly.
And I said, if I promote this, everybody's going to know where it is because I have a following, you know what I mean? And so I said, okay, well, how about I'll help you do that, and then I'm going to do this
Right.
way. Oh, it just happened that way. And the next thing you know, I prayed about, hey, I need some more land in another location so that I could do, this private location for all these buyers, and then a public location for all the people who just want to get away sometimes.
Right.
And next thing you know, God was just like, well, here you go.
Right. Here it is. I mean, when you think about it, it puts an entirely different spin on the whole Airbnb thing.
Yeah.
Most well, I won't say most people, but a lot of people that are getting Airbnbs, they're getting them because they're traveling somewhere and they're going to do something, and it's just cheaper, than getting a hotel or whatever. But the whole off the grid idea, like that, just really that sits very well in my mind. Just being able to kind of get away and people don't know where you are. So I think I would want the private location. I don't want the location where everybody's gonna know where I'm at. I want the private location where they can't find me. Um, where do you see? I mean, just looking at how that has grown over the past, 1 to 2 years, where do you see that going over the next 5 to 10 years? Like, what kind of is your thought, or I guess kind of your pre-goal for?
Well, I know I want to do this everywhere. That's why I branded it and made it a franchise and not just a location.
Right.
And I have the two different types of location, the private and the public,
Okay.
because I'm thinking forward and thinking about how people like yourself would say, oh, I want to stay here or be just totally private, or people who, oh, I'm going to bring the kids there for a weekend, it's going to be fun, and or a romantic getaway or whatever the case is. So I'm just thinking about every different type of person, because the same way, like what I did with the videos, I want you to be interested, because I feel like these are some of the things that you still need to know. Even though you're going to be relaxing and enjoying yourself, being there could inspire you, like, hey, this is all ran off the solar energy, and
Yeah.
real food is growing here, and you know what I mean, I'm connected with nature. That's a thing to be.
Listen, it's I that whole thing for whatever reason excites me. Like I don't know if it's because I'm getting ready to be 45, and maybe just because I'm getting old, but I don't know, that whole thing just excites me. Like even down to the point where I told you I drive Uber, so it's like you pick up people everywhere.
Yeah.
So I picked somebody up actually a couple days ago in a mobile home, and I was talking to, or like a mobile home park.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to somebody on the phone as I'm going to pick up the person, and I'm like, "Oh my God, like this is nice. Like I could live out here, like just get away. Like I could just pick up and drive off if I get ready.
Right.
Like
Right.
I don't know.
It's a freedom. It's a freedom that we haven't.
Yeah,
Wow. And we didn't even know really existed, because we grew up totally in the system. I call it the system.
right,
Everything is a system. The school system, the health system, the justice system. We grew up in
right,
the system. And so we don't even think about you know, that, and even when we saw pictures of, you know, people living, oh, that's farmers and they live on the farm and they, you know, they're different than us and
I
whatever.
mean, it's just weird that like everybody is on, having these big immaculate homes, and I could care less. Like I do not want to own a home.
Yeah.
Um, I could get me a mobile home like
Yeah.
today, and
The
just
priorities are just different because, like I said, because of the system, you know, it teaches you go to school, get this job, and buy this big old beautiful home and have a family. You know what I mean? It teaches
right.
doesn't teach you connect with nature, connect with spirit, be in a community. You know, your family should be a priority.
Hmm.
Teach you those things, and those are the things that make us human.
Right.
You know, and so when you see a situation or opportunity like this, that's why it touches your heart because it's part of you. We just
Right.
didn't see that. And so that's what I love about the journey that I'm on right now.
Now you mentioned, as far as the off-grid communities, you mentioned franchise.
Hmm.
So like when you speak of franchising it, I guess what kind of is your thought as far as that? Like just having different people buying into it and buying land, or
So two different things. Number one, I have a lot of people that are investors and, you know, want to invest. And so they can invest in a franchise. Oh, there we go. Invest in a franchise. And so say for instance the community that if you saw my recent videos that I'm building in Atlanta, the Atlantiville off-grid village in Atlanta, have investors who invest the money. I take the money because it's not for profit. I put it all into the land. Oh, we gonna have everything there. If everything that the money can buy, you know what I mean? Because it's going to bring the people in, which will inspire them. And so that's part of the franchise. And then also I have the people who just want to buy land to where this is their piece of land or this is their property. And I don't mind, you know, setting that up. I do that. I set it up, but those aren't the properties that I'm coming there to run, you know what I mean? To be in those properties. And then my ultimate goal for myself, a personal goal, it's more so on a spiritual level. I want a piece of land, or I will get a piece of land that is just for spiritual healing. And so people will come there, almost like a retreat type of thing, or
yeah,
for whatever different reasons. But that's all that land is for. That's all it is for. And so that's what I'm doing with the franchise. But this is going to be different places, not just Georgia, because I'm already going to work on some stuff in Africa, work on some things in Jamaica, work on some things in Florida, and
oh,
in
you're not playing.
yeah. But people have already reached out and not just saying, "Oh, I'm interested," but reached out like, "Here, what
Right.
do you do with this?" And I'm like, "Okay," because like remember what I told you last year? I didn't have the money to do any of this,
Mhm.
but because it's part of my destiny, God is just really opening the doors and
And,
saying,
and that's the thing.
"Money
God
here."
will open those doors like when it's your destiny and when it's your passion and you're doing something that's like genuine and
Hmm.
from the heart, like the floodgates will open,
Yeah, yeah.
as far as you being able to make it happen.
Nothing can stop it.
I
Nothing can.
kind of looking back, I don't want to say just the last few years of the pandemic, but just looking back, at your entire career and the things that you've been able to do, what do you feel like you're most proud of?
This, um, absolutely, hands down, this,
Yeah.
because all those other things, when I used to do music and acting, all the, I only ever wanted to be in the entertainment industry because I wanted to reach people, because I wanted to teach people. Now, I knew that as a young age, but I didn't know what I wanted to teach them. I
Right.
didn't know none of the details. It was just in my heart that that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to do. But when I did the music and stuff, I had to rap about the stuff people wanted to hear and cuss and all of this and this stuff. And well, I felt like I had to, you know what I mean, in order for people to want to listen to me or whatever. And I hated it. I didn't want to like look like Little Kim or act like Nicki Minaj or whatever. Props to them in the rap game, but that's just not me. And so I also wasn't Lauren Hill either. I didn't have the dreads and you know what I mean? Like I like to straighten my hair. You know what I mean? I'm me. I'm in between, I guess. You know what I mean? But whatever the case is, it didn't seem like it was a lane for me. And I started to shift focus, but then it was still always inside of me. And I said, you know what? I have to create my own lane.
Right.
And that's what you have to do sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's I'm not even gonna say sometimes. Like you
Yeah.
have to be one that's gonna get out here And I'm always talking about hustling and grinding and all of that stuff, but you have to be one that's going to get out here and create your own lane. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what area you're in. You know, with me wanting to, and I've always wanted to work in media and entertainment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to create my own lane because if I didn't do that, then I was just going to be stuck trying to get a, if I got the job doing what somebody else felt like they wanted me to do or covering what somebody else wanted me to cover, and me creating my own lane and making my own way, I can do whatever I want to do.
Exactly.
Um,
Freedom again, we were talking about.
right, exactly. And once you experience that, like that level of freedom, you don't want to give it back.
No.
Like there's nothing about me that wants to go and work for a CNN or a
Yeah.
MSNBC or like any of those like big, you know, conglomerates anymore. Like I just want to do my own thing and kind of
Yeah.
make my own way and carve my path.
Yeah.
So I can see that that's what you have been doing. Um,
Yeah.
for people that want to, you know, obviously check out everything it is that you're doing. I know that I'm actually still on the OffGrid website right now because I'm like, I got to figure out where this is at. And but kind of plug all of the places that, you know, people can obviously look you up and learn more about you and your platform and your brands and the OffGrid community. Um,
Well, everything on all social media platforms is I am Summer Azul. And I am summerazul.com is my official website that usually has everything that I'm doing on there and links to everything else. Specifically to go to the OffGrid Village information, it's literally www.theoffgridvillage.com. And I named it that, you know, on purpose because I want it to be easy to find and to
yeah,
locate. Yeah,
you
because
want it to be easy and simple, and you know, not too complicated for people. Because once it gets too complicated, and you have all these dots and dashes and
yeah,
hash marks and all that stuff, people say forget it.
yeah. And so I try to make it as easy as possible. And on my social media, when you know, promote with the videos and things like that, it's always, you know, link in bio, link in bio, link in
Right,
bio. Because I just want everything is a click away these days, and so I have to make this information a click away these days as well.
right.
Um, I don't like to overly push it. The people that are interested, oh, they find you, you
Yeah,
know, yeah, they find you, and
yeah.
so I just, you know, I just do it that way, and everything is at I am Summer Azul, so that is real simple and easy to find.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything that you feel like you really wanted to get out there with the conversation today?
Um, I think we kind of talked about everything. I do every time I'm doing an interview or reaching people or talking to people, just want to make sure that everyone knows and understand that everything isn't just handed to me, because I know I said a lot like, oh, God did this and God did that, and you know, da da da
Well,
da.
trust
I have
me,
to work
as
in.
somebody I know, but
But a lot of people say, oh, you know, well, she had it easier, or somebody did this, or somebody. No, I put the work in. So this is my about to be my third year of quarantine and working and all that. People didn't just give me money. You know, they're saying, we see what you're doing. We see what you've been working on. We see how hard you work. We want to help.
right,
You know, you have to put the work in no matter what it is that you're doing. You just,
absolutely,
yeah. And so I said that to say, you know, my life has been a very hard life, and you know, people don't know my past for real. I mean, very hard life. And a lot of people see me now or see some of the things I've done in my career, and feel like, oh, she has it going on, or whatever the case is.
yeah,
Unknowingly to them, though, it was a struggle to get there, but I just
hmm
never stopped. And I still don't feel like I'm there. You know what I mean? I'm on my way there. Thank you for recognizing me while I'm on my
right,
way. But I'm on my way. And so I just want people to be inspired to know that whatever it is, you don't have to do with land or spirituality or anything like that. Whatever it is you want to do or you're trying to do, you actually can do it. It's going to be hard, but anything that's worth doing is going to be hard, because we're living in a system that's
yeah,
made for not to do it.
right.
So that's
I,
the
I just think I'm trying to figure out how I want to say it, but I think that everything that you're doing is amazing.
thing.
Um, while I do look at it like you have arrived, I know that you're still on your way though. And
Yeah.
I say that because I'm learning to really celebrate like the accomplishments and the achievements that we make, and like you've achieved a great deal and you've accomplished a great deal, and I think that that is worth celebrating. And it doesn't mean that, okay, I've made it and I finally got there, or like you're still a work in progress. We all are still a work in progress. But like I said, I'm learning to celebrate, those accomplishments, because it's hard work.
Yeah.
It's very hard work. And I mean, when we talk just about you doing the homeschooling piece, that is not easy. It's
Yeah.
it's not easy at all, and it's time consuming,
Very much.
because there's a lot of work, probably a lot more work for her doing homeschooling than what it would be if she was in school and they're breaking it up over a 9 month period.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, and it speaks to just her ability to learn, and to grasp it all too, because she's homeschooling and she's taking it in, and she's still, as you say, booked and busy, which is beautiful. I think that you've done an amazing job, obviously as a parent. Like, you had that insight before anybody else had it, to take off and fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
It's like you started fighting right away, because you knew that it's about survival now.
Yeah.
So you took what you knew and you researched and you got the rest of the information and you put it all to good use. And at the same time that you were getting her together, you were getting yourself together.
Yeah.
So I think that you've done some amazing things. Like, there's a lot of people, including myself, who can learn a lot from you and your process and just the way that you've done things. I got to get some money together to become a part of this off-grid community, because I just think that that's really dope.
Thank
I really, really do. And I'm really happy for the people who will tune into this and
Yeah.
be able to see, the things that you're doing, because I just think it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes for us as, African Americans, and I mean, just in general,
Yeah.
the things that you've done. So congratulations on everything. Like, I'm definitely following. I'm looking and keeping up and trying to figure all of this out and see where I'm going to escape to.
Well, there's always going to be room in the OffGrid Village, okay?
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna figure it out. But no, I really celebrate you. I congratulate you, because I think that you've done an amazing job, and I'm grateful for you taking the time out to talk today. Like, I think that you're very inspiring,
Thank you.
and motivational to so many people, like I said, including myself. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, and yeah, any kind of final comments or anything, or
Well, I have a motto. My motto is whatever you do, be epic. And I literally live by that motto. I made it up when I was in film school. And literally, whatever you do, if you're a chef, be an epic chef. If you're a
right,
teacher, epic teacher. Whatever it is you do, be epic. And
right.
so that's all I want to make sure people know.
Nah, I think that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.